So this is the office setup for the next year, for 2021. This is what I'm rocking. 6 years ago, I started this very YouTube channel in this room with a desk setup video.
This is the area where my desk gonna be. So I wanna make sure that I've got all of my power readily available.
Things have progressed quite a lot and the channel has evolved and grown. My needs have changed and the room has changed substantially in that time. Throughout 2020, I've spent a disturbingly large number of hours in this room, but it's a room that I've grown to really enjoy being in, and the upgrades and improvements that Ellie and I have made to the decorations, the placement of things and the items in here have really elevated this, and I feel like it's finally at that level where I can share this video and feel confident that it shows a complete picture of this tiny little studio setup. I'm going to emphasize the word tiny because it is a 3 meter by 2 meter room. That is, of course, 6 meters squared, or around 60 odd feet square if you're in old terms. When I look at other people's office setups, the thing that I'm always jealous of is never the gear, it's never the equipment, it's just the space. So given that this is a very small room, I am super pleased with how functional we've been able to make it for two of us to sit and work in here. Now, appreciate I can't go into too much detail about every product here, so I'm going to try and section this video into a few chapters with the room, the desk, and the items. Please note that a lot of the items in this room I've owned for a number of years. There's also a fair few amount of items in here that have been sent to me from brands due to the nature of having a YouTube channel and brands wanting to reach out and collaborate with items that benefit my workflows. All of the items of notable interest will be linked and listed in the description, so make sure you do check that out. I'm going to try and do as thorough a collection of items as possible. I really started to consider a new vision for this room way back in August, September 2019. So if we jump back to then and we look at how the room used to be, it was very bare bones with white walls, and overall it was functional, but it felt really cluttered. And one of the goals for this room was to be able to set up a camera so that I could film from almost any angle and without too much hassle have a scene that would look good on camera. So I started up by putting some shelves on either side of the room. Originally where I had the freestanding shelves to the right side of my desk, it created this space when I removed it, and I always knew that I wanted to put some artwork up here.
Drilling holes in masonry is probably one of the biggest things I hate doing. I just worry I'm gonna mess it up so bad. But anyway, we're on hammer mode. Let's do it. For anyone else who worries just as much as I do when doing DIY stuff, pilot holes, they are your friend.
Over the years, I've had my desk in various parts of the room, but eventually I decided that I wanted to have a desk that would fit the full width of the room next to the window so that I could get some natural light coming in. Throughout the winter, it really struggles for natural light in here, and throughout the summer, it gets blindingly hot. So there's no real middle ground, but this is the perfect opportunity to have a complete full width desk. Given that this is a room that I film videos in, I live stream, I make business calls, all sorts of things that require a clarity in audio. One of my biggest gripes previously was the sound of the room. Because it was so small, things would echo, and there was a difficulty in editing video that had been recording in here. So to improve that, I've installed some acoustic panels on the ceiling. It's made it so much easier to edit audio that's been recorded in here.
This is just a quick audio test to see how it sounds in here before I've put the panels up. Obviously I'm just in vlogging mode at the moment. Yeah, and I'm stood right underneath where the panel will go. So I've now finished putting in the audio panel. So we've now got the two panels in the ceiling. I've noticed a difference when editing video that has audio from here. It's not hugely noticeable if you're in here just talking and listening to music and all sorts, but it is noticeable when you edit the audio from recordings. So for mic input, it's having a huge effect that is, yeah, really useful. So I'm glad about that.
I did have some extra acoustic panels on the walls, but to be honest, I think the ceiling and the floor are where the best options are for a room of this size. On two of the walls, we've painted this evergreen cambric, which is a plaster-like paint. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find it in a store, so I messaged them on Instagram and they kindly actually sent some of it out. I think normally it's reserved for commercial purposes. They might have a store now for personal applications. It is a beautiful, beautiful texture and it just gives so much warmth to it. Originally, I was thinking of like a grey or something toned like that, but the evergreen adds in some of those warmer hues and I really do love the colour of this. The main element of this room is of course the desk, and this is probably what I'm most proud of. Previously I had a fairly standard IKEA desk. I always wanted to build a custom desk and it took a long time to find the right wood and materials and to really source things together to know exactly what it was that I wanted and to fit that vision. I am so happy and so proud of the desk that I've built. So this is a custom oak worktop. I got it from a kitchen supplier and I sanded it down and oiled it to my own taste. I used the Osmo top oil in a clear matte finish, so it doesn't give a glossy sort of rubbery feel to it. You can still feel the grain of the wood, yet it protects it from any water droplets, from soaking into the wood, and it just gives a really nice and wholesome feel to it. The oak itself is insanely heavy, and I've set the desk up on two legs from the Hairpin Leg Company. These are some steel tubing, they just go into a square format. I quite like the boxy idea to it, and given that this is a 2 meter wide desk, I was pretty concerned about the whole desk from bowing in the middle and collapsing under the weight of things. So I've added some structural support underneath just using some angle iron. I sprayed it black just to match the legs. And this adds a vertical rigidity across the length of the desk just to make sure that it doesn't lose that structural integrity in the middle. It also doubles up as a great positioning for cable tying and cable management. But just to be on the very, very safe side, I've added an extra leg in the middle of the desk. To protect the desk itself from further weight, I've mounted my display onto the wall behind it. This does two things. It reduces the visual impact of having the stand from the display. It also clears up some of the surface space because I don't have that stand in the foot. I can also push the screen further back and it just creates a shallower depth between the screen and the wall behind. And overall, I just love the way that this looks and feels. I think having a massive desk is a huge benefit to productivity. I like to keep things nice and clean anyway, but knowing that there is a huge clean surface beside me, it just makes me work so much more productively. Below the desk, I've just got two sets of metal filing drawers from IKEA. They store all sorts of things from cables and hard drives and just other accessories. But on the desk itself, that is where the main bulk of the tech is for this room. So at the heart of everything on the desk is the MacBook Pro 16-inch. This is the first generation version from 2019. I spec'd it out almost fully except for the SSD. So I've put a 4TB SSD in there, and that's large enough that I can work on projects locally or if I'm traveling without the need for external SSDs. But it's also not too large that it costs a fortune. This has been a great setup for me. Although, if I'd have known that 2020 I wouldn't really be traveling and on the move, I probably would have invested into a desktop machine. But that being said, when we can travel again, this is going to be a great machine to take on the road. I've then got a number of items all connected into the MacBook Pro, and this is connected over a single cable with the CalDigit TS3 Plus. This is by far the best Thunderbolt dock I've seen on the market. Without fail, every single port on this dock is with value. All of the USB ports are decent speed. They are at least 3.1. There are multiple USB-C. There's a Thunderbolt 3. The SD card slot is UHS 2 compatible. The DisplayPort out is 4K 60Hz. There's an Ethernet built in, audio in and out. So many different ports that make this whole unit an absolute tank for the MacBook Pro. I do still connect the main MacBook Pro charger just because the 16-inch requires more than the 85 watts of power that the dock can provide. It can run off the dock's power, but I have found that I've run into a few issues if I'm running a lot of pro applications at the same time, such as video editing and photo editing. Right in the center of my desk is my display. This is the ViewSonic VP3268 4K. This is a display I've been using for a number of years, ever since ViewSonic sent it out to me, and I love it. It's got such a beautiful picture. It's calibrated out of the box, although I did try calibrating with a Spider X that was sent to me as well, and to be honest, the accuracy was 0.100th of a difference. So it kind of didn't really feel like I needed to calibrate it, but either way, it's been calibrated. So the picture is fantastic on it. The bezels are tiny. It's got enough ports for me to connect the PlayStation, my Mac, and some extra inputs if I wanted to. So it's a 4K HDR display, and everything is all on this super heavy-duty articulating arm at the back. Running along the top, we've got the Screen Bar Plus that was sent out to me from BenQ. This is a desk lamp that is designed to fit on a display, and it doesn't produce glare across the screen. So the LED is framed in a way that it produces a directly vertical light and it doesn't hit back onto the display. I love the way it brightens up the area around the keyboard, and I think it just adds a nice aesthetic as well. I'm using the standard Apple keyboard and Magic Mouse. Might be a little bit controversial, but I'm a big fan of the Magic Mouse, except for the way that you charge it. Underneath the screen is where I store the Loop Deck Plus, which I use to edit photos and color grade video. And then over to the left-hand side of my desk is where I've got my full streaming setup. I appreciate there are a lot of items in detail to my streaming setup, so I'm going to skim over some of the details, but I am planning to make a video dedicated purely to that, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to catch that streaming setup video. But generally speaking, at the heart of it, underneath the stand that's propping up my MacBook Pro, I've got the Atom Mini Pro from Blackmagic Design. This is a 4x HDMI switcher and a live streaming encoder. Everything's all built in, and the buttons and feedback response, as well as the software control, is phenomenal. I honestly think this is possibly my favorite product purchase of the year. I love it so much. I've been doing a lot of live streams lately with Adobe Live and also for my Twitch channel with some gaming, and I'm planning to do some more live streams on this YouTube channel in the coming months. I've got a few ideas on how I can have a video type podcast that I'm working on, so if you're excited for that, then let me know in the comments. Connected into the ATEM, I've got a Panasonic GH5 and a GH5S. One is just behind my MacBook Pro, giving a good sort of front-on eye-level view, and then the other one's off to the side just to give that side desk view, which works well when I'm live streaming on tutorials and workflows. I recently bought this Lilliput A12 monitor. This is actually a tiny 4K monitor that just allows me to preview the live stream, and I can see all the extra details coming out of the ATEM. It has nothing to do with my Mac. This is all just for the live stream and recording, just to make sure that I can monitor things that are going live, because obviously when I'm either gaming or if I'm streaming, my main screen is completely occupied and I can't actually see what's happening live. When I'm streaming, I also use an iPad Pro with a custom controller that I've built just to control things of how the live stream's going, but I'll save that for the live stream setup video. There's a lot of detail in there. For audio, I bought the Rode PodMic recently, which is on the Rode PSA-1 articulating arm. That allows me to just tuck it away neatly when I'm not using it and pull it down right in front of my face to get good, clear audio when I'm streaming or when I'm on conference calls and things like that. That's connected over XLR via a cloud lifter into my audio interface, the Focusrite 18i8. I've been after an audio interface for a number of years, and I finally bit the bullet and bought one earlier this year, and I absolutely love it. Listening to music through it, you hear so many extra details than you ever imagined. I'd been keen to hear that hi-fi quality of audio, and this thing delivers. For recording audio, the preamps are super quiet. It's incredibly powerful. I can have multiple inputs of audio from all sorts of devices, and then I can route them individually with custom mixes through all of the different outputs. So I can have a different set of audio into my headphones, monitoring my own microphone, the game audio, chat, live stream, to a different set of audio that goes out to the live stream, that goes out to the people that I'm talking to. All of these different options, and you can customize it fully. And just like with the A10 Mini Pro, I absolutely love having a piece of hardware that is dedicated to a specific task. In terms of headphones, for the most part, I'm using the second generation of the Bose QC35s. These are acoustic noise cancelling, and I use them a lot traveling with Bluetooth functionality, but when I'm set up at the desk, I have a cable that I plug in, and the quality that I get is perfect for my music and for gaming. For editing video though, I'll use a pair of the legendary Sennheiser HD 600s. These are some awesome headphones. They're open back, so the soundstage is huge. They're not so good for recording audio because of course the audio is going to leak out of that open back headset. But for editing, you can hear so many details and really finesse the quality. You need a heavy amount of power at 300 ohms, but the Focusrite delivers enough juice for me at the volumes that I want to be listening to. For speakers, I'm still using the Bose Companion 3 Series 2. I've had these maybe 10 years now. I still love the sound quality from them. They're nice and small speakers, but realistically, I actually don't listen to much music through them. For the most part, I listen to music from the HomePod, which is over on the other side of the room. I quite like having the music come from behind me when I'm working because I can set a lower volume and it's not too distracting. I can even edit stuff with music playing behind. Of course, one thing I can't forget to mention is the PlayStation. So I recently bought the PS5 and I am loving it, and I'm excited to see where gaming is going to head for the next few years. That actually sits underneath the desk because I'm not the biggest fan of the design, but there's also space available down there and it just helps keep things tidy. This room has worked out really well to be flexible for both editing and working, as well as gaming in the evening. So moving around the room and away from the desk, on the complete opposite side, I've got a cupboard unit. This just stores a load of extra items and gear that I don't really need frequent access to. The aim of this area was to make it functional yet still aesthetically pleasing to look at. For storage, I'm using the Synology DS1817 Plus. Again, this was sent out to me a few years ago and I have loved using it ever since. It's completely transformed the way that I manage my whole library of data. Everything is stored on this server. But of course, this is made easier with a great network solution. So I've set up an ASUS AI mesh network across the whole flat, and that runs an Ethernet that gives an extra network switch underneath the desk to provide a few extra Ethernets for the PS5, the Mac, Ellie's Mac, ATEM switcher, and a few other things. But the internet is also worth pointing out here. I've got a hyperoptic connection. If you're in the UK, I highly recommend checking out hyperoptic and seeing if it's available in your area. It's gigabit internet up and down. As a content creator, that is massive. It means I can upload a 15-minute 4K video in about 2 minutes or less. It just makes the workflow so flexible. If I need to make changes or just to work rapidly, I don't have to be waiting hours to be uploading videos. I can do it in a matter of minutes. And it's remarkable just how reliable it is. I don't think I've had a single problem with it over the last few years that I've had it. Of course, they are only UK based, but I really rate them. As for the shelves around the room, I'm using it to store some of my older cameras and some extra books. And I recently put up these extra shelves on the side. I wanted to go for something that would match with the desk, so I got some thick oak from Etsy. This is just a functional place to store some of my lenses and just make use of this awkward space in the room. When filming videos in here, I actually use this special trolley rig configuration that I've built. I'm pretty proud of this, and I think it deserves its own video at some point because it reduces the need to have a tripod and a light stand and extra stands for all of this other equipment, because everything's all combined into a single trolley that is powered by a single connection. Daisy chained off of this, I've got a light stand with the aperture 120D, and that is also on wheels, so everything's easy to move around. With this being such a small room, it's incredibly difficult to just set things up and the hassle it would take to put things down and put things away. So having it on wheels, I can just move it in and around and it doesn't take up too much space. As for the lighting in this room, I've connected everything up with Philips Hue. That allows me to set up various scenes and change it with my various devices. So I can have different colors, different brightnesses, certain things on, off, and complete flexibility of the whole lighting in this room. Again, it also makes it super easy if I want to set up and quickly change between streaming versus working and editing. Attached to the side of my cupboard is my charging station for all my batteries. I've just velcroed all of the chargers to the side just to free up some space, and again everything's all powered and connected so that I can easily just drop batteries in when I need to charge them. In terms of where I'm looking to take this room further, I'm looking to add some more houseplants and to just generally brighten it up in terms of the greenery in here. I love having the houseplants around for air quality, but also aesthetically I like the way they look. As for the rest of the flat, there's really not a lot to shout about, so for filming, this really is the only room that we have accessible, so it really does have to be as aesthetically pleasing as possible. So I'm so happy with how things have turned out in this room, and I'm really comfortable with the way that it's set up. It makes it easy to come in and work, and also to sit down and film things. The only thing that's left is motivation and inspiration to do all of that, which of course has been difficult this year, but 2021, I've got good hopes, and I want to be making a big splash on things. Just a reminder to check out the links in the description. There's a whole host of links there for some of the products and also the on-screen titles. These have been a big product of the year that I've spent in this room, and I'm really proud of my titles. So if you want to get those animated titles for Premiere Pro, check the link in the description. But otherwise, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. I want to be posting some more tech related and sort of office based videos and just pivot and evolve slightly because I'm unable to travel right now. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you in another one real soon. See ya. Bye bye.